Zena Cardman logged onto a Zoom call from a fellow Carolina alumnus who had good news to share.
You are this year's Distinguished Young Alumni winner.
The call was surprisingly clear, given that Cardman was in outer space at the time. In her application essay for Carolina, she wrote that she wanted to be an astronaut, then deleted it before she hit send because she didn't think she could explain why. As an undergrad, she added a creative writing minor to her biology major and earned honors in poetry. If she did get to space, she'd be able to describe the experience beautifully.
Zena was a student in my intro to poetry class. On the first day of class, I was just kind of going around the classroom, asking students to talk a little bit about why they chose to take an intro to poetry class, what they wanted to accomplish. And Zena says, I want to be an astronaut. And I kind of chuckled like, yeah. And then I realized, oh, she's serious. It didn't take long before I realized like how serious she was. The big dream can be lonely. You have to be able to say, I'm going to do this very seriously, but I'm going to preserve that wonder that caused me to dream it in the first place.
In working on her master's in marine sciences at UNC, Cardman studied microbial systems in hydrocarbon seeps, hydrothermal vents, and the Arctic, and made the first of 3 research trips to Antarctica as part of a team analyzing microbial ecology ecosystem changes. She focused her doctoral studies at Penn State University on geobiology and novel redox couples in the Earth's crust, mantle, and core to learn more about life in extreme conditions. Dale Anderson, a researcher with NASA's exobiology and astrobiology programs, considers her the epitome of an explorer.
She's just had a remarkable career going to places and working with different groups of people in such a variety of settings, whether it's the Antarctic, the Arctic, on small sailing vessels in the Pacific. Almost any place you can think of, Zena seems to have managed to get into it and work with that kind of environment and those types of people and just integrate herself so successfully.
While completing her doctorate, she uploaded her resume to NASA's website and applied to be an astronaut. 9 months later, in June 2017, after sifting through 18,000 applications, NASA selected her and a dozen others to comprise its 22nd class of astronauts. During her 2-year training, Cardman learned various aspects of spaceflight and the systems on the International Space Station, became proficient in Russian, and learned to fly a T-38 supersonic jet to practice thinking quickly in rapidly changing situations. Yet, when she addressed Carolina's class of 2024 as spring commencement speaker, she focused on the communication and trust astronauts build as they go through training in extreme environments. As a graduate student, Cardman worked in the Earth, Marine, and Environmental Sciences Lab of UNC researcher Andreas Teske.
The question was not whether she would do something unusual, but only what kind of unusual thing would she do in her life. As an undergraduate, she had an encyclopedic mindset and encyclopedic curiosity. She really stood out. I could have asked her anything or made a cultural comment on anything, and she would have had the right answer.
Cardman's astronaut class is the first to graduate under NASA's Artemis program, which aims to put the first woman on the moon and perhaps launch a human crew to Mars by the mid-2030s. Initially, she was slated to command the SpaceX Crew 9 mission to the International Space Station, but technical issues delayed the return of 2 astronauts and reshuffled the lineup. Cardman was reassigned as spacecraft commander of Crew 11. Researcher Carrie Cowarden of the University of Virginia School of Medicine has known Cardman since childhood.
I think she has all of the characteristics that you would, expect in an astronaut, in that she is incredibly intelligent, and she has, this sort of courage and adventure and inquisitiveness and all the things that you would need to kind of do something pioneering, like going to space. I have to think that the thing that sort of put her over the top was just her sort of steadiness and her ability to adapt to situations and her ability to kind of hold other people together. There's no one else in the world like her. She's the one and only Zena.
When Cardman signed up for the year-long senior honors poetry writing class Professor Emeritus Michael McPhee taught, he wondered how she'd find time. She would need to produce 1,000 lines of original poetry organized into a coherent manuscript, and the language used in science and poetry is very different, but the creative side was important to her.
This had been in Zena for a long time. She always had such focus and cheerful determination about it. I thought, well, you're very smart and you're very hardworking, and I'm not going to bet against you. She wrote some amazingly sharp, weird, cold poems that made her work really distinctive. She seemed to enjoy being in this world, and she paid really close attention to the things of this world, which is what I think a good poet does. Once you have that way of thinking and seeing, it doesn't go away. Zena is still a poet, and it would not surprise me if she came back to Earth and ended up writing some amazing poems about an experience that very few people have had.
I'm really, really hopeful that Zena will be exploring other worlds, in the not too distant future. And she embodies that kind of personality, and she's so suited for it. She's got the capability to bring that world back to everybody else so that they can see it and share it in ways that other astronauts just haven't been able to do, I think. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Zena brings to us and shows us in the future.